Professionals in any field of work, what's the most ridiculous thing someone outside of your profession has claimed to know more about than you? This will get absolutely buried, but I was a bra fitter and the amount of women I had straight up argue with me about how sizing works was amazing. Oh. You've been wearing a 36B and couldn't possibly be a 34D? Then tell me why your band was halfway up your back and your breast tissue was slipping under the wires of your cups. Side note. Real 36B breasts are actually pretty rare. I've fit maybe 10 out of the 1000 plus fittings I've done and seen dozens upon dozens of women who thought that they were a 36B but weren't. The worst was mothers who couldn't believe that their 14-year-old was a D. Like, lady, she's only a 32 band. Her boobs are the size of an orange. Not her head. Calm down and let me do my job. I've actually had some mothers go behind my back, grab whatever size they thought their daughter should be, and make the poor kid try that on to prove to me that I was wrong. Bartender. I'm consistently amazed at how little people know about alcohol. I've got a million stories, but there's one request I've been getting a lot lately. My bar has a Long Island variation that's essentially a shot each of tequila, vodka, rum and gin, along with peach schnapps, Sprite, and 2 very sugary fruit juices topped with grenadine. People have been requesting this drink without the grenadine because they think that extra sugar is what's making them hungover. Nah man. You're hungover because you just took 4 shots and consumed 80 grams of sugar. Trust me. That 1/4 oz of grenadine is not going to make a difference. Working in VFX. You will now and again expose someone to a naturally photographed shot you haven't worked on yet only to hear that it looks fake. Double quote. Similarly, a shot in which many things are indeed fake. Some yups will inevitably pick out a real object and say it needs to be redone to fit in better. It just doesn't look like a natural part of the scene. Double quote. Say what? Double quote. It looks too synthetic. Double quote. It's a physical prop. Shot in camera. Double quote. What did you do? Double quote. I let light fall on it in front of a light sensor. Double quote. I'm a tattoo artist. Had a client try and tell me how I should go about tattooing color. She was completely wrong and wouldn't believe me when I tried to explain how tattooing actually worked because her cousin told her how it is. Also had someone tell me once that they thought tattooing seemed pretty easy and that they could probably do pretty well at it because they decorated cakes at Hivi. Not a tattoo artist and I hate this. People get a machine and do a few and they know all. Yes. I can get cheaper work. But I pay for the knowledge behind the machine. too. And I go in with an idea that can be changed a bit to make it more aesthetically pleasing because it ain't washing off. You do it every day. I don't. I'm a teacher. So literally everything and anything to do with my job. I graduated high school. Therefore I know everything you need to teach. I've had a baby. Therefore I know everything about childhood development. I voted. Therefore I know everything about government mandates about education. I'm a parent. Therefore I know everything about parenting and raising a child. And based on how my kid is behaving, you're doing a bad job at that. Even better, don't tell me how to raise my kids. And not a minute later she tells another person how to raise theirs. I'm a commercial property manager. In certain commercial leases, it's the tenant's responsibility to maintain plumbing, HVAC, etc. So you don't call your manager and demand your bulbs need to be replaced or toilets leaking like you would in residential. One of my properties had a main meter from the city then submitters to the individual suites. Our meters were monitored and billed by a third party who would then let us know if a tenant's usage had spiked. We would let the tenant know that they probably needed to investigate since something on their side of the meter was possibly leaking. We notified the tenant. He freaks out and tells us nothing is leaking. He freaks out further when his bill is 4 times higher. I tell him again. Maybe get a plumber to investigate. He says he doesn't need a plumber because he is a water engineer. Side note. His business was one of those mailbox stores in a shopping center. Turned out his toilet was running. I'm a mechanic by trade. A guy I know bought an older European sports car to fix up. It doesn't run. So he got it cheap. I told him that it's definitely going to cost him way more than he thinks. And it's not going to be easy for him to do himself. Not to mention the difficulties of finding parts for it. He would probably save money if he just bought a new one. He just blew it off and gave me some strange twisted reasoning about how he can do it cheaper and make it better. Okay dude. Whatever. So far he's sunk thousands of dollars into it. And it still doesn't run. I believe that he's pretty well invested into the sunk cost fallacy at this point. Bye bye retirement fund. A know-it-all told me, a professional musician music instructor, that his favorite piece of music, of which he claimed expertise, was Bach's Fifth Symphony. When I politely commented that Bach never wrote any classical symphonies, and that perhaps he meant Beethoven, the guy simply said that he knew what he knew and that's all that mattered. Double quote. I'm a radio presenter. I once spent 15 minutes at a dinner listening to a woman tell me that I didn't work on a certain radio station that I had worked on for 6 years. It was quite honestly the maddest thing I'd ever heard. No. It's not that one. And if you don't really understand, don't worry. Me neither. I once had a lady call my house 5 times in 2 minutes asking for some random person. Even though I told her she had the wrong number and that it was only my wife and I that lived there. She said, absolutely livid. Excuse me. I do not have the wrong number. I'm a standard small shop barista and once a girl asked me to make her a hot chocolate with a shot of espresso. Which is what a mocha is since we use the same chocolate powder for both types of drinks. I tell her, oh do you mean a mocha? If I charge you for a hot chocolate plus the extra shot it will be more expensive than if I just charge you a mocha ma'am. She proceeds to tell me she knows more about coffee and that the two are totally different due to the different way we prepare the chocolate. Instead of arguing with her I go ahead and make her the drink but had already written the M for mocha on her drink label. When I hand her the drink she proceeds to get hella angry and demand I remake her drink like she said. A hot chocolate with an extra shot. So I go back to the bar and basically just put her old drink into a new cup with the HC for hot chocolate. She takes a sip and goes, yep. Much better. Lawyer. And most clients are fine. But about 5% act like they know the law better than you because they did a Google search or read a Wikipedia article. Me. We can sue for A and B. Not C or D. Client. Why can't we sue for C? I read something that says we can. Me. I've researched it and it's not supported by the law and we lose. Client. Put it in anyway. Me. I can't put in things we can't defend. They'll just get thrown out anyway. And it will turn the judge off to our good claims if we include a lot of junk claims. Client. I don't think you're doing everything you can to win my case. Maybe I'll find another lawyer. Double quote. I'm a water professional. Been told numerous times there are no asbestos water pipes. I've been told that would be illegal and unethical. Asbestos concrete pipes are one of the most common types of water and sewer pipes. When I bought a house people told me not to bother with an asbestos check because it's been banned for decades. 1. It's only been banned since 2003. 2. The house was built in the 80s. I'll leave it up to the professionals to tell me. I've taken asbestos awareness training sessions for work. And it's the safest to assume that if it was built before 1995, in Canada, it's loaded with asbestos. Drywall mud. Drywall. Floor tiles. Tile adhesive. Pipe insulation. Mortar. Stippled. Popcorn. Ceiling. Pharmacist. Have had more than one person try to convince me that their liver was special and that they developed a tolerance to enormous doses of Tylenol. Pro tip. You do not develop a tolerance to acetaminophen and no one gets to exceed 4000 mg day. Mostly. These patients have developed a tolerance to hydrocodone and are looking for ridiculous fills of Vicodin. Sir. Dr. A has given you the maximum dosage. I cannot fill the prescription from Dr. B. Fuck you. My liver is special. Runner up. Pick anything said by Dr. Oz. FCKDR. Oz. FCKDR. Not a super cool job, but I deliver chips to stores. I had the milk delivery guy ask me why I was bringing in more product than the guy before me had. I said because we needed it. He said that couldn't be true because milk sales hadn't risen. WTF do milk sales have to do with chips? Similar to this. But I once had a staph infection on the outside of my left ankle. So crunching into school on the first day, a classmate walks up to me and asks why I'm on crutches. So I tell him, and his response is, well, my brother had that once and he didn't need crutches, so I asked him where it was. He said on his arm. Double quote. Screenwriter here. I have my own studio and for fun I'll take on clients by reading and giving notes to their scripts. It's called script consultation, and for a lot of people it's the bread and butter money in Hollywood. Especially if you get fast at it. This one client I got sent me a 1500 page script. Most scripts are 90-110 pages, and I had to tell him I'd be charging him by the page. 10 cents a page. Which meant he'd be paying my rent basically. He proceeds to tell me that all the greats write that much at first and have consultants trim it for them. Huh? Yeah buddy. That's a total lie. I laughed, but he still paid me per page. He did pay my rent. And that man? His name was Paul Thomas Anders. Just kidding, I don't remember his name. His script was weird. I study linguistics. Last week I saw an article headline about a little girl who can already speak 2 languages at 2 years old. And I think I ascended to another plane of existence for a bit. Edit. I didn't expect this to get any attention, lol. I have a reply in here about why this article is so frustrating and honestly harmful. Linguistics is a beautiful science that teaches you that you'll never escape from people's preconceived notions on how language works. Edit 2. I love this subject so much, thank you all for giving me a reason to talk about it for a while. I'm in no way an expert. Especially since the bulk of my major focus is actually on computer science. But linguistics is such a fascinating subject and I get pretty passionate about it. Wine. I'm looking for a wine without sulfides. Sorry, that does not exist. You don't know much about wine. I had one last week. No. You did not. You may have had a wine without added sulfides. No. I swear. It had no sulfides. I'm allergic to sulfides, so I only drink wine without sulfides. It's a talent to have the same conversations over and over again without coming off like a douche. No. All wine does not taste the same. Yes. Professionals can tell the difference despite that one article you read, which was quickly discredited. No. You're not allergic to sulfides tannins. You're dehydrated. Work as a mechanic and everything should be covered under warranty. I bought this car 8 years ago and drove until the brake pads disappeared and the caliper piston is half gone dug into the rotor. That shouldn't happen. Yes, that shouldn't happen because you should routinely have your brakes inspected and replaced when needed. Then when there is a service bulletin they find online they have that issue. The issue that can never be duplicated or the issue that doesn't pertain to their vehicle but 5 model years older. I have the same noise as this bulletin. That doesn't apply to your vehicle, sir. Yes, it does. That bulletin applies to something on the rear differential. Yes, I know. Your car is 2WD. No, it's not. What? Lifeguard. Every lifeguard has a bajillion stories of parents and swimmers who know better. I called everyone out of the water because of thunder. Everyone moved like molasses. Despite multiple whistles and me explaining why thunder is dangerous. Cue parents telling kids to go back into the water to retrieve floating toys. More whistle blowing and explaining why that is not good. Cue kids trying to go back into the lake to wash sand from their shoes. More whistle blowing and lots of dirty looks. I don't know what the hell is wrong with people. I knew that thunder and water don't mix from a very young age. I also knew damn well to listen to the lifeguard. Not a lifeguard. But I had a similar experience in high school. I was on color guard, so we spun 6-7 FT tall metal poles. Even if it was raining we would still have to spin and toss and practice. But one night there was lightning and thunder and our coach screamed at us to all drop our flags and to not f***ing touch them. The band director got mad at him and didn't understand why it was a bad idea for us to essentially be lightning rods. I work with cows. On a ranch. Where do I even begin? Every time a gif or picture of a cow ends up on the front page, I get to read the same untrue crap every time upvoted to the top comments. I've made the mistake of commenting before. Always get downvoted by people who grew up on a farm. Turns out if you live slightly out of town with a few acres, it's a farm and qualifies you as an expert in agriculture. I work for a utility company that maintains the grid for both electrical and gas distribution. I was in a meeting with a cybersecurity consultant who claimed that given enough time he could access and shut down our entire gas distribution network. We told him that was simply not possible and he doesn't know what he's talking about. He told us we were being naive and any computer system can be accessed by anyone with enough time and energy. We told him our gas grid is entirely mechanical with zero remote access or control. The only way to shut down a station is to go there yourself and close the valves manually. My dad tried convincing a biology student of the importance of cryptozoology and the existence of Bigfoot. Ecology student here. Wound up talking to a group of people at a party one time about the field I do. A girl asked my thoughts on cryptozoology. And I replied that I had honestly never heard of it. Well, that opened a whole can of worms as she went into a 20-minute long rant on how the chupacabra is real. And scientists are just hiding our discoveries so we don't have to admit we were wrong. The worst part was a couple of the other people in the circle were nodding their heads in agreement. Open bracket. I had a boss at a printing job that had no business being in business. The order was to make a simple 75 inches round label for roll labels. She got the proof on her computer and yelled at me for not knowing what I was doing because she thought it was too small. I told her it was to spec and she grabbed a ruler to measure it on her screen. It would be the thing to drive me out of an industry I had at that time 15 years experience in. Attorney. Look up sovereign citizens. Aside from that, I've had people try to argue that they couldn't be charged with assault because you have 3 seconds to instinctually retaliate if someone startles you. The defendant couldn't be charged with child porn because the pictures were artistic and on his personal computer that didn't connect to the internet. The one I have to argue with clients about most frequently is constructive possession. They think that because one person in a car pleads guilty to possession that the rest will be let off scot-free. Nope. More than one person can possess the same weed. Not about my profession. But I had someone try to tell me how to pronounce my own last name. Edit. Oh, I have a good one. Bit the other way around. A guy in the Air Force was an info security specialist. I am a computer enthusiast. This guy told me he was going to upgrade his computer to run faster by buying more RAM. The kicker. He had Windows 7 Home Edition. It had a max RAM usage of 16 GB. Which he already had. I asked him if he was going to upgrade to professional ed. His response. I'm going to get into the hard code file and tweak a few settings to allow more RAM usage. Okay buddy. I stopped talking to him about computers after that convo. Mine's more abstract than most I see here. I'm an artillery mechanic in the Marines. So I go shoot with the cannoners and fix their gun when it breaks. When it breaks, the higher ups throw a fit if I say no, you can't shoot it, even if it could get to the point of an inboard explosion or someone getting extremely hurt. So a while back, 19-year-old me was arguing with a guy who's been in almost longer than I've been alive at. No, you can't make your guys stick their finger inside the breech to manually feed primers because it's going to literally chop his finger off if he makes the slightest error. Aside from that, just arguing that a gun can't shoot because it's got issues and they go ahead anyways, then wonder why their $3 million gun is super FK'd afterwards and somehow it was my fault. Good times. Petroleum chemist. Had a mechanic tell me my car was idling bad because I probably had water in my tank. I explained that it was on a quarter tank from my last full fill up, so I didn't think it was water. He went on to explain that water floated on gas so it wouldn't foul your lines until you got to empty. I explained that I was a petroleum chemist and have checked roughly a gajillion samples for water and assured him it most certainly did not float on gasoline. He told me I was mistaken. I took my car elsewhere and had the cam sensor replaced as that's the code it put up. Gunsmith. The guys over on Guns like to tell me how dumb I am every time I see a problem I've diagnosed 1000 times. Can't complain though. They're the same types who come in with something that will take me an hour or so to fix. Put them in the line. They come pick up in 3 weeks and pay a stupid tax. I'm far from a professional. But I once had a lady yell at me for working at a place that cages its animals. Now, I get that makes you sad, but a lot of these animals are rescued. Dying out. Tons of reasons. As well as for their safety we keep you away from them. No, I can't sneak you into the lemur enclosure by the way. I just don't get why you visited our zoo to lecture me about animals behind bars. They are played with. Fed way better than you. And breed just fine. I choose animals over humans any day. I work in mental health. Anyone who has a job that may involve social contact with others is the same thing. For many others. Who knew hairstylists? Bartenders. Wait staff. Cab drivers. ACT can provide evidence-based, structured treatment for a variety of diagnosable mental health problems. Apparently advanced degrees, training and years of experience isn't what you need to do a job like mine. Just be good at small talk. Statistician. Literally every mothfk thinks because study X shows Y it's an indisputable fact beyond any questioning. 99% of Reddit basically think they know better because they are too dense to understand how statistical analysis actually work and what their conclusions mean. Even something as simple as are you safer driving on country roads or urban roads is so ridiculously complicated you could never actually answer it conclusively. And most people don't even understand that such a question is fundamentally flawed anyway. Define safer? I'm a teacher, so it feels like most people outside of teaching know better than me. Mostly what they know is nostalgia tinted shit. I love when I see my Facebook friends post some fake woke article about something and caption it, "Whoa. Why didn't they teach us this in school?" They absolutely did. It's not the teacher's fault that you were pulling C's and not paying attention.